Hi witches! So today I wanted to touch on the difference between the terms worshiping and working with deities, which is kind of a hot topic right now. I see a very big distinction between both of these terms, and especially a lot in Hellenic practices, so that's the Greek pantheon. But I believe that most witches both work with and worship deities. So let's get into what both of those terms mean, and then my opinion, I guess. So to me, worshiping a deity is to honor them and acknowledge them without asking for anything in return, which I think is kind of like a very common way to work with any sort of deity, even like the Christian God or the Abrahamic God. I find that really like people who practice Wicca, or as I slam into my coffin bookshelf, whoops, people practice Wicca or work with deities in a more like religious sense than anything. I guess that's kind of weird to say, but anyone who follows like a specific path like that tends to use the word worship more versus others who use the term work with. On the converse, right? Working with a deity is pretty much what it sounds like. Collaborating with a deity to work towards a common goal. And I personally like this term a little bit more. I think that working with a deity denotes like a two-way flow of information versus one where you're kind of just like supplicating yourself to a deity, which is fine. Both of them, I do both. So like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I don't see myself as equal to a deity when I'm working with them. It's kind of much like I don't see myself as equal to my boss at work, even though like we work together, right? So like, yeah, I work with my boss, but I also know that my boss is like up here and I'm like here, you know what I mean? Well, actually, it's a little bit more like this, but whatever. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, there's still that level of like a deity being at like a higher rank of importance than you, where you like acknowledge that they are a lot more powerful than you are, or at a higher station than you are, similar to how a boss would be like in a workplace. And I don't claim to like control them, like as if they like are summoned to my will. Like I don't want you to think I'm like that conceited, because I don't think that. But in my personal experience, I personally like to use that word or that term working with versus worship. And my deities have told me a couple times, because I was always like, is this okay? They're like, yeah, no, we are working together towards a common goal. And that was always very apparent, especially with Hearn and the Morrigan. If you haven't seen my video from like 2 days ago or something where I talked about deity signs, definitely check that out and you'll see kind of like how my relationship is with them. But the reason that I don't use the word worship is because of like very, very traumatic experiences that I had in the Catholic Church, where, I was taught to fear God. And I feel like the way that churches approach one's relationship with God is very much like, you must submit and, throw yourself upon his mercy because you are a worthless worm. And like, maybe he'll decide that you're not worthless. Now, I'm not speaking and saying that every Christian is like that at all. Because I don't believe that. It's just my experience in a very toxic, religious organization. If you guys don't know, I again just watched my past videos, but basically I had a lot of religious abuse in my past. It has led to very severe PTSD that I've had to literally get therapy for. So certain things that I do in my craft are because of that. It informed a lot of the way that I practice. So in this case, I like to use the term working with because it feels less there's something like a little bit triggering. I hate to use that word, but about saying oh, I worship. I do have that one-way flow of communication, especially when I am giving offerings or am praying or something like that. But in my personal practice, I prefer to use the term work with. And again, my deities are fine with it. I have confirmed that a couple times because, they've been with me for a while now, especially Hearn and the Morrigan. They've kind of seen me go through all of these trials and tribulations, and I feel like Bast and Anubis are kind of just like the, I don't know, I think they just want to see me succeed and help me heal from a lot of this, whereas Hearn and the Morrigan helped me get through a lot of my trauma. Bast and Anubis, and I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit emotional, they're helping me heal from it. And that is invaluable to me. So for them to be so understanding as to why I don't want to say like I worship you is like very special to me. So anyways, excuse me while I like try not to cry, but other terms that witches can use if they don't want to use work with or worship are call on, honor, pray to, etc. So it's really about like what you're comfortable with. Again, I use like both, like I generally use work with, but like a lot of my workings can be seen as worship because again, it is that one way flow of communication where it's just like, hey, I don't need anything from you. I just want to say like, I love you and you're awesome. Whereas like other times, like I will be like, hey, I need your help with this working. This is very informal, by the way I'm speaking a little bit more colloquially, like way you're talking amongst friends, because that's what I consider you guys. But I use the terms honor really and work with the most just because of my past trauma. So there's a lot of discourse in this. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get like yelled at for this, but you know what? Honestly, like this is how I practice and my gods are fine with it. So I'm just gonna keep doing it. And yeah, I would love to hear your guys' like opinions on this, whether you use the word worship or whether you use the word work with. I think it kind of just depends on the deities and also the situation that you're in. So yeah, I would just love to talk to you guys a little bit more about that and see what your opinions are. So I hope you guys don't mind the shorter video, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.